Lakesh and Veritas, everyone, sending you the frequencies of oneness and truth. You are now tuning into Of the Sun Suncast. This is our weekly podcast bringing you all elevated topics focused on expanding ourselves and humanity as well, and moving into the frequency of truth and oneness. And we are coming live all the way from the frequency of one mind. We have LaOta of the Sun, the architect of this vibrant organism who provides of the Sunners wisdom and guidance so they can find the truth and be free. I am Tavares of the Sun, certified instructor and practitioner of the Sun modalities and the creative director behind Of the Sun's artwork, programs, and sessions. And we also have Jessica of the Sun, author of 50 Women Anthology, an advocate for Of the Sun, currently learning the teachings. So in Lakesh and Veritas, ladies.
In Lakesh and Veritas.
In Lakesh and Veritas.
All right. So, I'm excited today. And I think you all are too, because we have a special treat for you all today. So today's topic, actually, before we go into that, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Get these notifications on your YouTube page of all of our podcasts when they're uploaded, as well as hitting that little bell, ding, 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 to make sure you get those podcasts. And if you haven't visited yet and you're new to Of the Sun, you can visit the ofthesun.com webpage for all of our classes, service, products. We have a plethora of information and elevation. Ooh, that rhymes. For your soul salvation. I'm on a roll. He's on fire. Speaking of fire, LaOta of the Sun, she will be doing Fire Part 9. Every month, she has a monthly self-healing class where she goes over the elements and the associated geometric platonic solid. So if you don't know, now you know, we are the elements. We are composed of air, fire, water. The fire is electric. And she will be assisting us with exploring the relationship with fire, the collective human consciousness, and how this is playing out on the planet Earth. I'm sure you all have seen the news. I'm sure you've seen California and Australia. And it's important to step into solutions and to have the appropriate perspective of what is taking place on the planet. And she will be bringing that forth. And it's also open for Q&A. So it's an awesome time to make your voice heard. So you can find that on the Of the Sun website in the evolutionary classes, and it's on the homepage for ease of access. So with all that being said, our topic today is an original modality to Of the Sun taught under the Subtle Energy Institute all over the world, assisting people with keeping themselves clear, their properties, and their extensions. So we're talking about quantum light property clearing. So today's episode is the Quantum Light Property Clearing Chronicles. Yeah, you like that, huh? I like that.
I can't wait to see what comes next.
So I'm thinking we do a series because there's so much to say regarding quantum light property clearing. And today we have a special guest. This is one of our very own. She has a master's degree in English education and has taught high school English for 10 years. She's currently a quantum light property clearer and teacher and a beekeeper. She's an herbalist. She happens to be an Akashic record reader and graduate of Soul Translation 1 and 2 under the Subtle Energy Institute with Of the Sun. And she is the founder of her company, Be Inspired and High Vibin' and Drivin'. I'd like to bring on Tiffany of the Sun. Tiffany,
and Lakesh and Veritas, everyone. It's so exciting.
Veritas, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you here. I want to begin before we say another word and make sure that we call for the frequency of truth in all things. We call to hear the truth, to speak the truth, and to be the truth. That we call forth the frequency of truth so that all may really see the truth in all things. So with that, by all means, step forward and tell us the truth.
Well, so many things to share. Where do I begin?
Would you begin with how did you come to Of the Sun? Of course, we know and love you. And I think your story is very inspirational. Would you share?
Absolutely. Well, as you know, I love Of the Sun as well. And they have Of the Sun has really become family to me. I found Of the Sun actually when I was on my 6-year fertility journey. Some people it takes 6 days. It took me 6 years. And I was an herbalist and a beekeeper, like Tavares shared, and was struggling with getting pregnant, maintaining pregnancies. And so I was using what I knew of herbs and earthing and all of the natural techniques that I knew to get pregnant. And I was in Florida, and I was downtown looking for crystals at a crystal shop. And next door, there was this fascinating glowing store shining brighter than any of the crystals. And it said, energy, healings, the word spiritual were there. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I have to go in. Tavares was on the phone outside of the store, and I rudely interrupted him, like, please tell me, what is this? What is this? I know it can help me somehow. And he was kind enough to speak with me. And what I learned with Of the Sun was about frequency and about vibration. And I remember speaking to LaOta within the first few days of finding Of the Sun and sharing the struggles I was having with fertility. And she said, if you want to get pregnant, just get in the frequency of pregnancy, get in the fertility frequency, and eat cultured veggies and some kombucha to balance your hormones. And I thought, like, yeah, right. I've never heard of such a thing before. And sure enough, when I learned about what it meant to get in the frequency of something, everything changed. And apparently I had popped myself out of the frequency because I was struggling so much trying to get pregnant, but wasn't able to. And so I was spending time with people who weren't pregnant or didn't want to be pregnant. And so I started to spend time around babies and people who were pregnant, and actually went on a vacation with a friend who had a baby and slept in bed with her and held the baby's hand. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, still holding the baby's hand, I knew I had shifted into the frequency of motherhood. And within 6 weeks of getting back into the frequency of fertility and motherhood and eating my fermented veggies and drinking my kombucha, I was pregnant. And the rest is history. My daughter's 3 years old, and she's wonderful and magnificent and Of the Sunner. And then I started to learn every modality possible with Of the Sun. And here I am. But that was how I was introduced, of my desire to bring forward life and learning how to do that.
And we are so pleased, and you're a wonderful example of so many people, because humans have begun to be in the process of not being able to reproduce themselves because they've lost the thread of the frequency of motherhood. And you can't simultaneously have the frequency of I don't want to get pregnant and I want to be a mother. That doesn't work.
Right.
So there are those things. I think your story is very inspirational. And I can remember the moment that you said to me, I held the baby's hand and I saw the frequency connection within you. And we were making baby gifts right after that.
Right? I can still, my entire being just like at pulses and like emanates with light every time I share that moment, because I remember it so vividly.
Well, we're very pleased to have you share that story, but you have exciting things to tell us about your being an instructor in property clearing and being a property clearer. We can't wait to hear some of your case studies.
I'm very excited to share. I hundreds and even thousands, probably we could talk for days and weeks about all of this. So this is going to be very exciting. Do you want me, you probably don't want me to go into it right now?
Yes.
Pull the trigger.
Oh, you're saying now. Go, keep going.
The people, give the people what they want.
We, the people, want your stories.
Yeah.
Well, here they are. So, it has been fascinating to shift into this experience after I became part of the Sun and learned about Of the Sun. I had Tavares clear the house I was living in, and then to know that I too could also learn how to clear properties was next level for me. I thought you had to be born into this special superhuman power of psychic ability to do something at this depth, and come to find out that we are all born with this power and with this level of intuition, and we've just spent most of our lifetime having others tell us it wasn't true, or blocking it off from us or from ourselves. And so once I learned that I too could build my spiritual muscle and step into this modality, I was fully in and running. And the experiences that I have, of the sun always says the evidence is in our experiences. And every single time I clear a property, every single time I give a report to the person whose property that I've cleared, is complete evidence that not only is this working, but that it is changing and shifting lives at a quantum level. And so one very basic thing that happened the other day when I cleared a property, which was kind of fascinating because I feel like a lot of people can resonate with this experience, is that I was clearing someone's property and sadness was in a couch. And I told her, I said, you have a lot of built up sadness in a couch in the front room of your house. And I said, it's been cleared now, but it was pretty intense. And she shared with me that she had just purchased the home from a woman whose husband left her, and the woman left the couch. And she, like, oh, here you go, your beautiful home and a couch of sadness. And the woman left the couch, but the most interesting thing was that the girl who was living there now said to me, every time she sits in that couch, she cries. She said, I had a friend over last night and we sat there and had a conversation and we started crying, and then we were laughing because we didn't know why we were crying, but we couldn't help but cry. And so the couch had been imprinted with this sadness, and it was playing out for whoever literally sat there. And so the benefit of being able to clear that away for new energies to be able to be imprinted and lived out there and not have the looped pattern of that sadness was really spectacular. And she was in such gratitude for it.
This is so significant because it shows us, which we all know what it's like to sit in someone's chair who's angry or to walk into a room after something has happened in the room. However, to be able to access the power and the energy to remove the imprint at a level that changes the experience of another human being, not only frees the other human who might sit on the couch should they choose to keep it, but it frees the sadness from the couch.
Right.
So the sadness is imprisoned by the person who held that energy pattern in the couch. So everything is connected, and the sadness also now is free to go on and be greater and happier and better, something else. It doesn't have to be imprisoned by the person who held that thought. And the people who are in the space no longer have to be enslaved to the energy pattern of sadness, which initiates all kinds of chain reactions, all not in their favor every time they're near or have the couch in the room. So it's so significant. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Absolutely. I've been having really fascinating experiences recently with energy that has remained in the house, and it's been a new space for the person who lives there, but the energy was either brought in by that person or by the thought forms of that person, which, in a sense are the same thing, obviously. But one has to do with the motorcycle and one has to do with a dolphin, neither of which were there, which is fascinating. So if we have time, I would like to share both of these. So one, the motorcycle incident was I was clearing someone's house, and in the garage, she called it a barn. It was like a garage storage barn type thing. A lot of energy from a motorcycle had to be cleared. And so I cleared it, and I have learned to not, have any thoughts about what comes up, just clear what needs to be cleared and ask for further information if need be. And I then, when I was giving her the report, I said, I don't know if you have a motorcycle, but there was some intense energy, particularly negative energy, attached to a motorcycle in this garage area. And she was blown away. She was like, no, I don't own a motorcycle. She said, however, my ex-husband and I were best friends with a man and his wife who owned motorcycles, and they died in a motorcycle crash. And all of my memories of us in that time period together and of them are in that garage. And so she literally moved that energy with her, and that energy stuck in those pictures and was imprinted in that space because of it. And she kept saying that she felt so stuck and couldn't move forward. And it's because everything that was still there, and she couldn't have this new, fresh perspective.
That's an amazing story. And it also speaks to the idea of even photographs. Photographs are holding the energy pattern of the experience and the person and that person's energy pattern. So when you have, I tell people often, don't have photographs under your bed while you're sleeping. Don't have old family photographs with an uncle that's, questionable under the bed.
Sweet dreams.
Absolutely.
Make sure that photographs and novelty ideas and hoarding is not part of your experience. Holding on to energy patterns that don't serve you is as self-debilitating as any other form of self-sabotage. So bringing sadness and packing sadness and unhappiness up and putting it in a truck and driving it to where you're going to be is not in your highest good. And it's wonderful, how wonderful for her that you brought it to her attention. What did she do about that idea?
So she also had belongings of her children in there that they didn't want anymore. And she was having interference patterns in her new relationship with them because she was holding on. And so I encouraged her to get rid of it all and feel no kind of way about it. And so she decided, rather than doing one huge sweep all at once, to every week that it was trash night, the night before, spending an hour and clearing some of it out, over the course of the next month. And so she felt liberated in making that decision to move forward.
And this is a very common thing that people do, is hold on to things that are of no use to them anymore. So you buy something, maybe you spend a lot of money, you buy a pair of boots and you consider them expensive. They don't fit, they hurt your feet, but you keep them for years and years and years. And every time you get ready to put them on, you think, oh no, those hurt my feet, and you put them back. However,
that sounds familiar to many people.
I had this conversation the other day with someone.
or you have an outfit that was perfect on you when you were that perfect size. And your body changes over time and the clothes remain the same. And even though you had fond thoughts of it, when you think of it and you think of something being wrong, you have injured the consciousness of the thing and your own, because you are purposely thinking a thought that doesn't please you about yourself and about the thing. So now you have things that have felt the joy and the beauty of your love and appreciation, who now are deprived of it. And so now you have stacks and stacks and stacks of these things. So this is the hoarding looped pattern of, I have to have it. I'm afraid if I don't have it, I won't have anything. But if you're not going to be 30 pounds lighter, you still don't have anything. The dress that doesn't fit, even though you have it in the closet, you still don't have clothes to wear. So it doesn't. So it doesn't serve you. So everyone should be counseled to share. Keep only what serves you. Clothes, shoes, boyfriends, husbands, children. Keep what serves you. And what doesn't serve you, allow it to go its own way, so it can be loved and cherished by someone else. and move it out of the environment where every thought you have about it is, oh, it's cluttering up the closet. Oh, I'll never be able to wear it. Oh, it hurts my foot. All of those are thoughts that are not elevated, that are directed towards the thing. It's like the idea of, would you do that to a pet? Would you think every time, oh, you're not as good as you were when I bought you?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely not.
Trading you in. No.
Right.
So you wouldn't, but we don't recognize that everything has consciousness. Everything must be treated correctly. When you use a towel, you shouldn't throw it on the floor and step on it. You should fold it up and put it in the laundry and then fold it up when it comes out. Should treat everything appropriately for whatever it was designed for. And so this is a very important concept, that everything has consciousness. And once we get that, we grow. And that the clothing that has served us and that we have loved, we should give it in lakesh, and make sure that it and all of its extensions, all of its little clothing friends are free from suffering and can be in the truth of what they were designed to be. So thank you for bringing that forward, because this is an important point to talk about.
Absolutely. And, it's fascinating what you're saying about the photographs, because I just spent some time at my parents' house and they've been asking me to clear some of my things out of the basement. And I'm like, whatever I have down there, I probably need. And I went down there and I had pictures and notes from second grade. Like I've like bin after bin after bin from like second grade all the way up to high school and college. And it was unreal. It was fascinating. And so I got rid of all of that very quickly because I knew it clearly wasn't serving me in any purpose. And
well, more to the point though, it was an extension of you. So
yes,
it means that those bins that were full, that were at your mother's house in Ohio while you were in California, were still your extensions. So whatever trauma and experiences you had at 6 in school or through coloring, whatever wonderful things, all of that is an extension of yours. And until you release the extension, there is like a plateau at which, like in our energetic field, we have like 3 garages energetically.
mm-hmm.
And if all of your garages are full, you can't get more stuff. So you need to release some things so that more new things can come into you. As you release things, then wonderful things happen to you, which is happening now, isn't it, Tiffany?
Absolutely. And it's fascinating that you brought it forward like that, because I felt like openness when I got rid of it. And I didn't even know that those details were there. And when I got rid of them, it did feel like it created more space for newness. And here we are.
And then this is true of our brains as well, that thought forms, experiences have weight and they have mass. That's why as people grow older, we see that they get bigger around the center, because that's where the thought forms go, to the center of the body. And they actually have weight and mass. If you travel light, if you keep less things, you keep that to a minimum in the brain and in the body, because everything is connected. Everything has consciousness. And I think we're going to take a short break and come right back in 15 minutes.
Yes, we are. So stay tuned for more in Lakesh Veritas.
In Lakesh Veritas.
In Lacash and Veritas, folks. Welcome back, welcome back. And again, we have our guest, Tiffany Gorski, Quantum Light Property Clearer, herbalist, instructor, Akashic record reader. I mean, she's doing quite a few things here. And we left off on the idea of how our properties are extensions. And this idea of hoarding and holding on to things in the past and trapped energy within spaces and places. I think this is phenomenal info because, again, it allows everyday people to just take a look at our experience and what we're holding on to, you know, especially how the physical items and the energy attached to it keeps us stuck in our past, even when we want to move forward. So if you're liking what you're hearing, leave a comment, share with your friends. So I know we have more stories. This is the Quantum Light Property Clearing Chronicles with Tiffany Gorski today.
In Lacash and Veritas.
But by the way, folks, we said, Tiffany, do you have more? She's like, I have a book of stories. And she literally pulled out a book. I was thinking figuratively. Oh my gosh. So we're ready for more. Give the people what they want.
All right. So one thing that has come into my experience recently that's really been a beautiful relationship is I have been working with a few realtors, and on a couple different levels. One realtor, every time she lists a house, then I will clear it, and then she'll get a lot of showings and offers a lot faster than she normally would. And that same realtor plus a different one I'm working with will give property clearing as a gift to the people's homes who they sell, which is quite spectacular. And sometimes the people who just purchased the home want to know all the details of what was cleared, and sometimes they just want it clear and want to be on their way. So this one particular instance I want to bring forward is that the realtor herself and the woman who had just purchased the house wanted to hear all the reports. And the first thing that I said, which was so fascinating because this has never come up in a clearing before, was there was a lot of stuck energy in the locks, like literally in the exterior locks of the house. And that had to be cleared. And right when the words came out of my mouth, both the homeowner and the realtor were like, wait a minute, hold on a second. When we looked at the house, could not open any of the doors. We had to crawl through the windows to get inside the house to actually see it, to decide if we wanted to buy it. And that was fast. I mean, it was just fascinating. And, you know, when you think about it, energy can get stuck in locks for all sorts of reasons. I mean, we cross a threshold every single time we walk into our home, bringing whatever, you know, energetic baggage with us. And, you know, we have all sorts of thoughts as we're unlocking and locking our door from what has been going on. But to have that energy accumulate in that way and then manifest itself physically like that was fascinating.
Yes, and the fact that you were able to clear it meant that, because people do things like get locksmiths, but truly it's really an energetic congestion. It's like having a cold and coughing up mucus. Is an energetic congestion in a location where energy has taken place. It's very similar to when a person has carpal tunnel, where they work all the time, but the emotion gets stuck in the joint. And then, of course, you can't cut the emotion out of the joint. So changing the lock is not really the answer. You know, having an energetic scan by a professional quantum light property clearer of the house would remove all of that. Interesting.
Well, and along that level, that's fascinating that you described it like that, because along that level, I was clearing a home that there were issues with the electrical circuits not firing appropriately. And the electrical components of the house had to be cleared, but specifically in the kitchen, the electrical circuits, for lack of a better word, weren't firing. And when I told the woman who owned the house this, she said that she can never think clearly in the kitchen. And she said that there's a light that flickers all of the time. And she changes a light bulb constantly and it will never stay on. It will either flicker or it will just turn off. And she had recently purchased a house from a woman who had dementia.
Yes, there you go. Yes, there it is.
And so once I cleared this, and then she and I talked about how, and I'm sure you'll go into this further, LaOta, that the electricals of the house are connected to our electrical mental brain circuitry. She went home and she said, if my light works, I'm going to freak out. And I said, I'm not telling you your light's going to work. I'm just telling you that now you can, if it needs to be fixed, the interference patterns have been cleared and it can be fixed. Well, she went home and the light worked. And she couldn't even believe it.
The healing is so expansive. This is not what people think property clearing is. This is honoring and an acknowledgement of the fact that we are all one thing. And we live in a house, someone lives in a house for many years, the house becomes the symbiotic expression of the person. When we see electrical malfunctions, we are looking at brain malfunctions. There's a synapses firing that's not taking place appropriately. When we see issues with wetness and dampness in the house or drainage, we know there's something going on with the person's stomach and their systems and their waterways inside the body, because we are all literally one thing. And it is just not understood well that you are one of the forerunners of understanding as a property clearing person and instructor and practitioner. You are one of the forerunners breaking through the third dimensional understandings that we are all one thing, and that we can address and heal a light socket, and then the person then can move forward and think better. It's truly symbiotic.
I think this is beautifully said. It's making me think of the concept of the holographic nature of reality. But this is so practical. When people hear that term, how is life like a hologram? It's like this. You can see yourself reflected in the interference in the physical matter, even if it's a vehicle or your business, because it's you, it's an extension. So again, very well said.
And this idea of hologram is actually something that in one of the classes that Tiffany was in, we talked about that. She has studied many things. Tiffany is a healer, and she's studied, different levels of healing. And we discussed the fact that every hologram means that in every gram of it is the whole of it. So this is a holographic universe. So when you study iridology, I studied iridology, I could see into the body, all the organs, from looking at the eye. When you read a person's palm, you can see their history backwards and forward. You can open up the universal records. You can do reflex on their foot and hands, and you can still see the entire picture. Every aspect of us is the whole of us, including our spaces and places. And so this is something that science does support. There are many scientists working, doing abstracts and studies. We're part of some of them that does support this idea of the imprinting in time and space on matter, which is in our homes, in non-locality. So this is something that you are active practitioner of this cutting edge movement forward. And so I love hearing you talk about it. So that was great.
Well, I love talking about it, and I love having the opportunity to participate in the actual clearing, and everyone loves hearing about it. Every time I share any of these stories with people, they say, I had no idea that was even possible. I need that. I said, well, everyone needs it. And, when you said that this kind of idea of imprinting in time and space and non-locality brings me to this example that happened fairly recently in a clearing. I mentioned earlier something about a dolphin. And so I was clearing this woman's home, and she, years before, had lived near the beach and was a surfer, had interactions with, sea creatures, obviously naturally being in the water. And then she moved to a different country, and she wasn't on the beach anymore. And I cleared her house, and I had to clear energy from a dolphin. And I brought this up to her. I said, I don't know if you have dolphin pictures. I don't know what's going on, but I'm letting you know that energy from a dolphin had to be cleared, and it was pretty strong. And she said, I know exactly what you're talking about. She said, I had one experience with a particular dolphin a few years back. And I was at a crossroads in my life, and it completely changed the trajectory of what was going on in my life and where I am now. And it led her to create this entire worldwide business on clearing the oceans up from plastic. This one experience she had with the dolphin. I'm getting chills as I'm talking about this. And she has built this business so much and has had so many rewards from it, that the house that I cleared actually was able to be purchased because of what she is doing with all of this work. And she said that every time she gives presentations and talks all around the country about what's going on with the marine life, that her jaw tenses up and she gets angry. And that energy and that emotion served her the first time she had that experience with the dolphin, because then it propelled all of these other wonderful things to happen. But rather than in this present iteration of her playing out all of those wonderful things, she has held on to that intense anger and emotion she had from the very first experience with the dolphin, and has carried it with her. And so now in this new home that has this new experience, that energy still remained. And it was fascinating.
And you freed her of it.
I did. And she was able to free herself of it, because we were able to have this conversation about it. And it was really amazing.
This is so significant. So many people have a life-changing event that propels them into elevation if they allow it to then elevate them, instead of having a grudge and being angry and being frustrated, and where you have to hate the person. Instead of hating the thing, why not make the world better? Why not think, I'm making the world better, I'm doing something great, and then you don't have to stay in the frequency of hatred and anger, which will not allow you to motivate yourself. So how this is so true of so many people. There, an event happens that's life changing, and it may appear to be negative, but in fact, it is a monolith in time to propel you into a higher elevation. And you shouldn't hold on to it till it damages you. You shouldn't hold on to the aspect of it that would damage you. You have to free that, let that move on, and then you take the experience to another place, which is why we call for highest possible vibration. And interesting, we have Dolphin and Well meditation every Sunday for 20 minutes for $5 for everyone who would like to know. Dolphins and Wells were significant in my development. I was first verified by a dolphin and then directed to my teacher by dolphins. So this is a wonderful thing that we have the Dolphin and Wells, which is an extraordinary healing, and it comes every Sunday, the first 3 Sundays of every month, of the sun in Inlakesh. So we hope that you all will join us, and thank you, Tiffany, for bringing that forward. And we're going to maybe hear one more thing. Do you have another?
I do. I have many more, but I will choose one more. This was a really unique experience because while people typically aren't in the houses when I'm clearing them, animals always are. You know, people don't leave the house and take all their animals. Well, they have a lot of them. They normally don't take them all. And so I always encourage people to leave their animals inside the home so they can get cleared as well. And I cleared this home. There were 3 dogs in the home. And so they got cleared. And when the woman walked back into her house after the clearing, she said the most notable difference that she experienced from the very beginning was the way the animals approached her. Normally she would walk in the house, the animals would rush to the door and stumble over each other, trying to fight for her attention, and then it would lead to them fighting each other, and it was this huge mess full of chaos every single time she came home. And she said that this time after the house was cleared, she came home, she opened the door, and all 3 dogs were just in a line, and they just looked at her. And then one by one, each dog peacefully walked up and greeted her. She was like, I mean, she didn't have words. She literally like called me afterwards, like, you're never going to believe what's going on. And of course I believed what was going on.
Well, this is the relationship between humans and animals is misunderstood by humans. The animals are here to heal us. We think we're taking care of them, but it's not actually like that. They're taking care of us, and then they take on our characteristics. And when we're confused, they sometimes get confused. When we're jealous and greedy, they sometimes become that way as well. So we have to really consider that we're working with another living consciousness and be appropriate in how we interact with them. But the reality is that they come into our experience to absorb a lot of the negative. So we often see in property clearings where people have cats that people will move house and the cat will die at the new location because in the absence of a property clearer, the cat will clear everything.
That happened
Yes.
with a cat and a dog in an experience I had. Exactly what you just said. Yes.
And this often happens, and it's just not well understood that these precious aspects of creation are to be cherished and not considered that we're the great I am and that everything has to submit to us. It's quite the opposite. Their intelligence is masterful and their experience is one of service to help us, and we should learn from that. So I think these are great stories, and I'm so happy that you've come on and talked about it. We will invite you back for another Chronicle. Quantum
Oh,
Light.
good. I would love to come back. I have so much more to share. This has been really, really magnificent. Thank you.
Tiffany, would you mind sharing with the audience how they can find you online, website, maybe social media handles?
Sure, absolutely. My website is Be Inspired, so www.bee-inspired.info, and my Instagram handle is Hi Vibin' and Drivin'.
I know that's RV life. You've had the RV life for the last year.
We are currently high vibing across the country. Yes.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us. Any final things you'd like to share with the audience? And of course, we love you and would love to see you again.
I would love to come back.
To do a bee program with us shortly.
I'm very eager to talk about the bees and excited for that. Thank you so much. And on our next Property Clearing Chronicles, I will share a bee experience of a house that has been lived in by a few people connected to them.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tiffany.
All right, folks.
Thank you.
Stay posted for that Quantum Light Property Clearing Chronicles Part 2. We have a series. So before we go, just a gentle reminder to everyone listening online, may we all strive to be the truth, see the truth, and hear the truth in all things. And we leave you all in Lakesh and Veritas.
In Lakesh and
In
Veritas.
Lakesh and Veritas.
In Lakesh and Veritas.